Hello and divine living greetings, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. It's me, Allie. So it's good to have you back, and I just wanted to say a couple of things. The very first thing that I want to say is that this right here is not begging for subscribers. It truly isn't. I had a comment from somebody that had said that, and I had to kind of giggle to myself a little bit because I'm not doing anything any different than the millions of other YouTubers, on this platform. Everybody asks for, someone to subscribe if they like the content. If you don't, then don't. It's totally fine by me. But to kind of top that off, I was going through a lot of the comments recently, and, we usually get a lot of really positive feedback. But there are occasionally, a few that don't really have nothing nice to say. And that really hurts me. It really does, because I've always expressed love. I always have. Whether you believe in what I believe in doesn't take away from the fact that I'm not unkind to any of you, If I was a hateful person, then I could see people coming at me, in that negative way. I've had some comments of people calling me a religious fanatic. I'm not even religious, at all in any way. I love God, and the things that I'm teaching are, relatable to some religions, but not religiously founded in any one religion. I love all people, and I'm not closed-minded enough to where I can turn around and put another person down for what they believe in, nor am I going to make them feel badly for what they believe in. And I'm not going to comment negatively about what they believe in either, because religion is nothing more than just a stepping stone for people to grow in their own spiritual journeys. It's a shame that a lot of people don't get out of the religious platform, but it is a stepping stone if it's used the correct way. But no, I'm not a religious fanatic, and if you don't agree with what I'm talking about here on the channel, you don't have to come by. You don't have to watch the information if you don't want to. It's certainly, it's totally up to you that you keep coming back, and whether it's just to make me a mockery or a joke or to laugh at what I'm saying, that just makes you downright mean, that you have nothing better to do with your time than to sit here and look for things to put me down about. Everybody's entitled to believe in what they choose. And that's what this channel is for. It's for other people to listen to the information and to feel that connection to it. And whatever I'm saying, they connect with, because it's something that they have felt within themselves all along. And those are the people that belong here, So let's get into this week's subject. You voted, and the subject one, we want to talk about mind control and handling. And I think after this video, we're not going to talk about this type of stuff anymore. It is more on the negative side of things, going into a lot of the worldly conspiracies. I used to cover this stuff a lot when I first started, and I've just really changed the way that I feel about talking about it, because it has placed so many limitations on my reach. And not to mention that, we want to talk about things that are relatable to you. How many people out there right now are being mind controlled specifically by another person? Maybe you have an abusive relationship, and that's, probable in your life, or the idea that the masses are being mind controlled, that relates as well. But as far as the topic of this particular video, it's talking about straight up being sent somebody to mind control you on purpose, and the symptoms of what to look out for and what to be aware of. And that's something that's not going to happen to just anybody. Handlers are sent to those who are considered to be a threat. Let's get into the information, and I want to use a very specific example, being as indirect as I can be in this regard, to give you an example of mind control and handling. So targets are going to be people that have a reach in any which way or the other, that have knowledge or information that's detrimental to the system. And usually those people will include celebrities, spiritual teachers that are real, those that are extremely psychic, beyond usual psychic awareness, those that have a direct connection to source. And what's going to happen is that they're going to feel intimidated by those figures. They're going to know that these are figures that could influence the masses, and not in the way that they want them to be influenced. We talked about the agenda a little bit in the last couple of videos. And as far as everything that's going on, yeah, they're going to allow certain people to rise up on social media to gain, views, to gain subscribers, because everybody's going to flock that way. And the people that are for real and do have truthful information, they're not going to get, the platform in which they need to influence more and more people. So they allow good-looking people, people that have a very charismatic way about them and that are fun and great to watch. And they may not have the extent of knowledge or wisdom, but they may have some ability to influence others. And once they see that influence taking place, they'll allow them to run with it because, hey, this is going to distract everybody from where they need to be with the other influencers, that they could end up coming across. So celebrities, the royals, spiritual teachers that have surpassed spiritual knowledge here, and people that grow up in very specific bloodlines, those are all figures that are a threat, and especially those who are psychic, because those of us that are very, very psychic, we can see the truth about history. They want you to believe history happened as they want you to believe it happened. For me, if I sat here and retold history, it'd be a totally different story from what I can see in the records, and they don't want that. They don't want that to happen. Also, things that are about to happen. I talk about this all the time as I channel the angels in Alura's Angels in the Angelic Herald. We talk about the predictions that are coming in regards to the agenda. They don't want that either, because it makes people think. It makes people stop and say, wait a minute, how does she know this? Wow, she must be for real. Wait a minute, this just happened. Oh my gosh, she knew what she was talking about. And then people are going to gravitate that way because it captures their attention, that, hey, this is something that's really happening. There must be something going on, or there must be some truth, to her foundations. So it piques the interest, it sparks the influence, and people will gravitate more towards truth because it's every man, woman, and child's longing and thirst to have truth. But all the while, they have others out there that are more popular, more charismatic, more good-looking, better with individuals, like socially interactive, funny, and very appealing to the audiences, and they'll allow them to kind of get most of the views, most of the subscribers, so that people will say, oh, wow, this person's way bigger. This person has more numbers, has more views, more subscribers. They must be legit. And everybody goes over there. Anybody that has information is going to be a target. And what's worse is that person, it isn't going to be enough just to mind control them. They have people that they talk to. There are people that are close to them, people that they share information with. And let's face it, handlers can't be around 24 hours a day, all day long. That's just not possible. Obviously, that person's going to need privacy or space, or there's other things that have to be done where that handler cannot go. And so during those moments, mind control is a very powerful, very strong thing. It works through the subconscious and the surface mind, both if the master is good. And if that person gets away from that handler long enough, even if it's just for like an hour or two, you're going to notice a difference in that person. That's, the number one symptom that somebody is being mind controlled. You can tell by the difference in who they are around this individual. If someone has a handler, when they're around the handler, they're going to be very nervous, and they're going to not know why. They'll be asked by their loved ones, like, why are you so nervous when this person's around? Like, I thought you were cool with them. I thought everything was good. I am. I don't understand why I feel this way. They don't know. They're oblivious to why they feel that way. They just know that they don't feel right. But yet everything else draws them to that figure, because mind control masters and handlers always come off presenting themselves to be everything that person is looking for in this world. And that's why most mind control artists and handlers will choose their victims, and they'll come off as being somebody that connects with that person in all ways. This is the other half of that person. We're so much alike, we're so similar, look at us, and I just have to be with you. And that's why a lot of these relationships between the mind controllers, the handler, and the target usually become romantic. Most of the time they are, because lust also is a huge factor in drawing somebody in. And I'm not talking about like mind control online. I'm talking about person to person. It may start online, but person to person, that is where real handling comes in. You can boss somebody around online all you want. You can try throwing mind control tactics out there, but nothing's really going to fully control a person into a position that is wanted of them to be in until you have that person in their life locked and centered. So they will try to get in there. Most people are very vulnerable when it comes to love and relationships and wanting to have somebody there that matches them in every way. And this is like a common human desire. So they will send somebody in there to turn around and act like, oh, well, we're so much alike, we're so much the same, and we have so much in common. And then next thing you know, the relationship will develop very, very quickly. So there will be this lack of time in getting to know that person. You'll notice that they kind of just jump right into the setting because of all the hype that's going on mentally and emotionally during the small frame of time that they're interacting with the handler. The handler will tell them everything, and they do their research. They will watch the person's mannerisms, body language, everything, and find out as much personal information about their hopes, their wishes, their dreams, their fears, everything that they possibly can. And then they'll go in and then they will project. They'll project and reflect. And then that person feels like they're just sitting next to somebody that's like, the spitting image of themselves. They'll feel like they've known this person forever and like, wow, could this really be it? So automatically they're drawn together romantically, which also locks the handler into place because the handler themselves, now has a legitimate reason to always be around that person. They're in a relationship. Relationships are a much stronger foundation than a friendship. Hey, you have a friend, that friend's got to go home. But if you have a romantic relationship, then that person's always going to say, hey, I love you, I want to be around you all the time. Let's hang out together, let's move in together, let's do something. And then next thing you know, that person's jumping right into a situation where they're moving in with somebody, that they barely even know, like they've been with them for years. And now that handler has total access to that person's life all around the clock, every day of the week. So now that that's in place, the next thing that happens is isolation, okay? Mind control isn't going to work if other people in that person's life see it happening, okay? And loved ones are very, very intuitive when it comes to there being someone in their loved one's life that just doesn't feel right. And they're going to say something. They're going to pull that person to the side and say, hey, something isn't right here. I get a bad vibe from this individual. They're not very friendly with me, because handlers, they will be very nice, very polite to the people in their target's life, but they're not going to get too close because they don't want the people in their life to know anything about them. They're very secretive, and they also don't want them to pick up on the fact, that they're very persuasive and very controlling. So they're very nice, very polite, but not close. So finally, there goes the loved one saying, hey, there's something very wrong. This person isn't bonding with us or connecting with us the way that other people in your life have in the past. Instead, we see this person kind of always pulling you away, always wanting you by yourself, wanting you alone. And that's when the family starts to get very concerned. So that's when the projected problems and issues with your loved ones comes in, because your handler is going to sit there and say, hey, this person does this to you and that person does that to you, and I don't think they're good for you in your life. And then that gets that person like sitting back and thinking, because now they somehow just fully and utterly trust this individual they just allowed in their life, just put in their life, front and center. and they're listening to everything that this person says because this is an illusion of everything they've ever wanted in a partner. So they believe that this is something magical and something meant to be, and they're hanging on like every word that the person says. And now the person's saying, oh, I'm so concerned about you. I love you so very much, but this person over here is very negative, and this person does this, and I just don't think they like me. They don't want you to be happy. So now the target's starting to think, could this person be right? Do they want me to be happy? Let me look back in the past. Well, they weren't always cool with everybody that I've had in my life personally. And, now they're kind of acting something similar to the same. And every time I talk to them, they aren't happy for me. They only have negative things to say about my partner. So maybe he's right or she's right. So the target starts to kind of isolate with the handler just what the handler wants them to do. So going on from there, that person, especially if a public figure, is going to be very passionate about what they do. They're going to love what they do, obviously, because, they're doing public work, whether it's acting or psychic work or spiritual teachings, whatever the case may be. Obviously it has to be something that's considered a threat to the system. So let's just say that this is an extremist, an occultist, a spiritualist, or a very, very big, very real psychic. Now what's going to happen is that person's going to be taken away from what they love the most, which is, not only their loved ones, but their work. Lots of distractions there. They're going to find that every time they try to get something done, they can't, because this person always seems to have a need for their attention. As soon as they go off over to the side to do some project or something that they love, that person's going to be like, oh, hey, why don't you come over here? I want to show you something. And it's going to be like every single time. But at first, the target isn't going to realize that because, they're, what's it called? There's a word for it. Love bombed. That's exactly the word. They're love bombed. This person has to, I'm so in love with you. You're so perfect for me. You're everything I ever wanted. We are so meant to be. Look, we're exactly the same. We're everything each other's been searching for. Oh, your family, your friends, they don't like me. They don't want you to be happy. And now it's like, come over here. I just want all your attention. It's just because I love you. And now the target's like, okay, I'll put this off to the side. What did you want to see me about? And now it's happening so much without them really realizing it, because they're so centered upon this person. And it's like a magical enchantment. It's something that you'll never see, in any normal relationship. Of course, when you fall in love, you're, really happy and joyful, and you're always like kind of looking at the person and, flirting with them and making eye contact. But when a target connects with their handler under romantic illusion, that person is going to be looking at that person like, you're so wonderful, you're so great. And it's creepy because their loved ones are going to see that, and they're like, well, what do they see in them? Why are they so head over heels about this person? Like, and the person may not even be the best looking person in the world, may not even be their type, but at the moment that they're being controlled, they believe that they are. But the family, knowing them, is going to be like, this person's not even their type. Like, what in the world is happening? This is not the person we know. And you're acting different. If you're being mind controlled, you're acting different. You're standoffish, kind of snappy to your loved ones, and you're wanting to kind of just isolate with this person all the time. So during isolation, what happens is, lots of distractions, but also pulling your confidence down. Handlers want to break your confidence so that you don't feel the same way that you used to about what you believe in or what you're doing or what you're passionate about. So they'll throw little things out there. At first they're going to come off like they're your biggest, greatest fan. They're going to say, oh, I love what you do. I believe in the same things, or, I'm so much into that. But come to find out, once you start that relationship with that person, all of a sudden it's going to be like, oh yeah, I'm interested in all that stuff. And then a small insult somewhere slipping underneath. For an example, let's say a person that doesn't live according to normal 3D standards, like a breatharian. And the breatharian is telling the handler, no, I don't sleep, I don't eat, I don't need to, I'm on a higher vibe. And the handler is saying, or you're just a freak, go to bed. And they're like taken aback, like, wait a minute, what do you mean? How could you say that to me? Because obviously you know all about me, you've researched, you've read all about it. How could you say that. I thought you believed in me and what I believe in and what I teach. And, oh, I do. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. No, now you forgive the person because they said they didn't mean it, but it's still in the subconscious what they really think, and that's going to be in the back of the mind, as the person is going forward with the mind control for sure. So just little things like that, just small little insults and little things to break the confidence and break the self-esteem, and slowly that person starts to feel less and less of themselves, which is now right where the handler wants them to be. Wants them to be in a position to feel less of themselves, because when you feel less of yourself, when you feel like you're not yourself anymore, then you feel more out of control with yourself and you're more vulnerable to suggestion to others, and that's where the suggestions will come in. Oh, well, why don't we go do this? And it's going to be something that, like, the person, the target, or you, if you're going through this, it's going to be something that you would never do. It would be something like totally opposite from what you stand for or what you believe in or anything you would do on a normal day basis. Mind control, this is making you think like them. They want you not really like them. They already have an agenda. They already have an idea of what they're trying to mold you into, which is what mind control is. So they're going to come into that scene and they're going to operate in a way to get you to start kind of molding and conforming. It's called grooming, which is also the next step. They're already sort of grooming in the beginning, but the grooming really starts to come in when they start to get you to take action or do things that you're not normally used to doing. So once you have that handler locked into place, the grooming's been going on, it's getting deeper, you're doing things that aren't like you anymore, you're pulling back from your family, pulling away from things that you love, everything's about this person and their suggestions, you feel down because they throw these little tiny insults underneath the surface, breaking your confidence, but then love bombing you on the side, gaslighting you the whole time. You start to notice, okay? And it's like everybody has a conscience, and you start to kind of say to yourself, wait a minute, something really isn't right. I don't feel like me anymore. I feel down. I'm not close to my loved ones, my friends. They say I disappeared, and it is true. I don't talk to anybody anymore. And then the target's going to start to say, wait a minute, what is going on? And in those moments, they're going to start to question that person, like, wait a minute, they have put me down a lot. Why would they do that if they supported me to begin with? And wait a minute, they said we were a lot alike, but after time's gone by, we're not so much alike like I thought. So now the research on the target side is going to come in. They're going to start wanting to look into this individual a little bit more, which they should have done in the beginning. That's why I offered to do the video, True Love versus Infatuation, because it's very important to know the difference and to not walk right into infatuation, because people that are infatuated, which is what a handler tries to get you to be, that is like not real love. You don't really know the person, you're rushing into it. But now at this point in the mind control setting of a handler, the target's going to start noticing that they aren't themselves anymore, and that everything does kind of surround this centralized figure in their life, whereas everybody else is kind of just, way in the background now, and they're feeling down. So once they start looking into things, things are not going to match up whatsoever. These people, these handlers, these groomers, they are never going to tell you who they really are. They're never going to give you a real true background story. They're not going to use their full-blown name. They may have their name altered to where they could still get away with it legally, but still not disclose who they are. Or maybe they have a bigger organization working behind them. People that are, like myself, into the occult teachings and very, very psychic with knowledge, they may have an entire religious organization backing them up to help them. And if that's the case, of course, they're going to have others that have connections into government and things like that, to give them tools that they can use, to get away with what they're trying to do and taking this person down, because there may be a big reason as to why they want that person out of the way. Maybe they're taking too many people from the religion. Maybe they're gaining followers from the religion itself and conforming these people to a free, open, spirited way of life, breaking the programming and control of whatever religion or church they're coming from. Or maybe, they just hear truth and they don't want that because it may keep people from coming to the church. And instead of getting new followers for the church, it's going to make all the churches lose followers. Or maybe the teachings are a little bit similar and they don't know how the person knows half of this stuff. And they're looking at that and saying, well, how does this person know that we don't want them disclosing this stuff? Because we don't even disclose this stuff. How do they know? Well, they're psychic. Okay, well, that means they know more stuff, so we don't want them to have that kind of power. So they will send somebody and they will back them up with tools and different things that can help them to get away with the mission of grooming and handling and controlling another individual. And that means maybe, fake ID, fake birth certificate, even setting them up into a fake family setting to kind of hide where they come from, no question about that. And the person is going to notice. The target's going to end up noticing, like, wait a minute, something doesn't seem right. This person's very phony most of the time, because they will start to get phony. Once you call them out and you say, hey, there's something not right with you. Everything was all fine and dandy up until now because I wasn't myself. I wasn't clearly thinking. But now that I am, I see that there are a lot of red flags here, and I want to know what's going on. And that's when it's going to get very ugly. The person's going to attack and get defensive and make the target feel like they're absolutely nuts, absolutely crazy. And when they try to dig into the background or anything relatable to this person's personal identity, it's going to be very hard to gain the information because it's very well hidden. And they may even get caught in lies, and they'll still stick with their stories to the very, very end. It's almost hard to get them to admit to what they're doing once you have caught them doing it. So that's what happens with handling. And then when you try to break out of it, it's going to be ugly. There's going to be a lot of threats. There's going to be they'll threaten anything that you love. They'll threaten anything that you love. Yep, that's the very truth. And that's where a lot of targets get stuck in situations with these people because they're so fearful of them. They've never probably hurt them physically. A lot of emotional abuse for sure. Like, for an example, if they are calling and can't get in touch with you, they're not going to stop trying. You might be at a very important appointment and your phone's going off the hook. And then when you answer, it's like, fine. Oh, hey. What do you mean, oh, hey? What was that about? Why are you calling me so repetitively like this? And, I just, couldn't get through. Okay, well, if you couldn't get through, obviously there's something going on. Wait, I'll call you back. Why did you have to keep doing that? Oh, I don't know. And then it's like a run around a game all the time. But they will lose it if they don't know where you're at or they can't get in touch with you, for the very longest time. And that goes to the next part of this, which is grooming the people you're closest to. So if a person is a public figure, they're going to send whatever the organization or circle of people is that are initializing the need for you to have a handler. They're going to also send people to the people that are associated with you too, because they know that you're talking, you're teaching, you're talking about things, or know things that you've probably passed on to others. If you love and care about people, or you're in a position to teach or help other people, you're going to talk, you're going to share what you know. And then that makes those other people minor threats as well. And so what's going to happen is they're going to want to just kind of very easily get rid of that problem by sending in other handlers that can just lure the person away. Usually starts out the same: lust, try to get you into a romantic situation, and then all of a sudden you start noticing discrepancies, things that don't add up or line up. But you're going along with it, for those that are being targeted minorly. And as a result of that, they're trying to get you out of that circle of that figure so that they can start putting other things into your mind to draw you away from what you've learned and to reject it, so that that person's standing alone. Because how else do you get rid of somebody and control them? You take away their support, and that means, followers and fans as well as family too. And the only way to really get rid of followers and fans is to, discredit that person and to go into that person's circle from the inside out. So a lot of the times they will send somebody that tries to get into the circle first, and then they'll start kind of, targeting the central individual that's the target, and then smaller little minions will be dispatched, to those who are minor threats, but threats nonetheless. So it gets really scary, but grooming starts that way. Love bombing, gaslighting, a lot of manipulation, making you feel like everything you do is wrong, manipulating you, making you feel like you're not there for them, and lots of guilt trips that just don't make sense because you know that you have done like everything for this person. But yet they twist everything. They make you believe something that totally isn't true. Like, if you had to go to an appointment with them and you went with them and it was a very serious one, and then a couple of days later they ask you to go to another, but you can't because you have another appointment for yourself, they're going to come and say, you're never there for me. And you'll say, but yeah, I am. I just went to the last one with you. I don't care. You're never there for me. I don't know how I feel. And all of that just really starts to like get into your mind. Like it really does. And then you start questioning, well, am I not there for them enough? And now they're drawing you into giving them more time, more attention, more time, more attention. And that's what they want. They want your time, your focus and attention on them to have complete and utter control. So that happens to a lot of celebrities, a lot of public figures, spiritual teachers, extreme psychics, the royals in the royal family, anybody that may have information that is a threat or is even damaging to any group or family or people, they'll take care of you, or they'll try to. But you have to be smart because like myself, I saw what it was about, and I walked into it because I wanted to know more. And I thought, well, maybe I can help this person because the person I saw, that they had sent that they were trying to do it through, I thought to myself, wow, that's a shame. This is a young individual that still has a lot of time. So I thought, there is love there from a spiritual connection, and I always love everybody. Let me see what I can do and maybe alter the future of the situation a little bit. But it was very difficult to do that at first. It doesn't matter how skilled you are. You have to fight mind control with your own kind of mind control. And I don't use mind control on other people. So it's like, how do you do that? So it was more or less just coming honestly from a heartfelt place and trying to spark realization of, wait a minute, what you're doing is wrong. And to get them to take acknowledgement of that, to want to stop. Majority of the time they're not going to, because they're either getting that dough, or maybe they have a personal vendetta that they're like volunteering to do this for. But regardless, they could even just believe in, for spiritualists like myself that get targeted, the person that's getting hired as the handler may really be very fanatical about their belief system, that they hear that this person's the target is like an enemy to their organization or wisdom or God or heaven, however it's presented to them. And they may just volunteer and say, yeah, no one is going to disrespect, our belief or our God, and I'll do it. And they come with this personal vendetta, is very vicious under the surface of things. And that's why you'll notice that a lot of negativity comes out of handlers a lot at different moments of aggression. You'll notice it's not very loving. Instead, it's like very ruining. They want to ruin you. That's the point. The point is to ruin you and to take you under, and to take anybody else that may know what you know under with you. And it's sad. It really is. But yeah, mind control can't really work on a person that knows it's totally happening and then does what they have to do to eliminate the situation. I don't suggest that any of you, if you're ever faced with a situation, to have a handler in your life. I do not suggest that you walk right into it to try to fix the person like I did. I'm a different level of understanding and knowledge and love as an angelic soul, that I definitely knew what I was doing and had the power to at least try, not to get lost in the midst of trying. But I can tell you that that's everything that I saw, and it was very easy, to pinpoint those things as they were happening. But yeah, I did a couple of articles on this subject not that long ago in the past, because I was trying to indicate, certain things I was experiencing too, and share the information, not to mention what I know outside of the situation too. I see the mind control that's going on in social media, the mind control programming that's going on out in the world for abusive boyfriends even, it's way less severe, but abusive boyfriends or abusive girlfriends, people that are in abusive situations, those people are going to exhibit very similar things too, because abuse, emotional and mental abuse, you're using a form of mind control on somebody if you're mentally and emotionally abusing them. So this video is pretty good because even though you may not have like a huge handler because you're some important figure or whatnot, you may have an abusive person in your life that may exhibit some of these symptoms. And if that's the case, these are red flags all the way, waving in your face. Don't question it, because you're just going to be in the situation longer, and the longer you're in it, the more hazard it is to your health, mentally and emotionally, and then physically later on. You're going to want to exit as soon as you possibly can. Don't mess with it. Just get away. It will get hard to get away too. They will persistently bother you, harass you, try to publicly embarrass you on your social media, maybe commenting, putting you down, or broadcasting your flaws and the breakup if it is an abusive handler in a relationship setting only, and those are things that you'll notice. A lot of blame going back to you, trying to make you feel guilty to try to get you to return, because most people that are abusive in relationship mind control settings alone are people that have been through abuse and trauma themselves. They have abandonment issues, rejection issues, and you wanting to walk away is just another abandonment in their eyes. So they're going to come at you even harder because now you're taking them into a place of having to re-experience something that they feel very hateful towards that has happened to them. So you can look forward to a lot of aggression and a lot of attacking, and that's why it's just best to just block that person on all accounts. Get away as fast as you possibly can, and don't keep dwelling on it. Don't look back on it, because you're just kind of falling into their mind control of the abuse and things that they've put into your mind all that while, by allowing them to rent space in your mind, because then it gets you to kind of question yourself. Hey, did I leave this person for the right reasons? Was it really what I thought it was? Are they really being abusive to me? And now, if you have to doubt and question yourself, you know that somebody's been influencing you, because if you're a clear-minded person that has awareness of what's going on in your life around you, whether that's extreme awareness or not, you're going to know whether you did the right thing or not based on evaluating the situation. You're not gonna have to ask yourself, wait a minute, was it really what I thought it was? Yeah, it was. That's why you thought it was that. You have to move on. So for mind control handlers in professional settings, psychic spiritual settings, or in abusive relationship settings, it always starts out with those specific types of steps to draw the person in. It's not fun, it's ugly, and it's hard to get out of. And for the people that are totally mind controlled and never get out of it, they are never the same again. And once their mentality is crumbled and they've lost everything in their life that they love, even from abusive relationships too, because you will lose everything that you love. You'll push your loved ones away, you push your friends away, you'll lose your hobbies, your interests in them. Everything is going to get lost. Well, once you've lost it, how are you going to gain it back? And you don't want to live with that loss of yourself and everything that you love over here that was true, for something that was just an illusion, whether the person's abusive and just very controlling and wanting to possess and own you for their own emotional well-being, or, if somebody was sent to do this to you, for a way bigger reason. So that is mind control and how to spot a handler. They're very phony people. They come off very genuine to you in front of you, but you got to listen to the people in your life, because those people are going to be the ones that say, wait a minute, this person's really phony. Don't you see it? For most people, they probably don't, but your loved ones aren't trying to purposely ruin your life, so you have to take into consideration what they're saying, because they probably mean the very best for you. You just probably don't feel that way at the time because you have this other person in your ear telling you otherwise. But get out, if your family or your friends are telling you something is very wrong. If you spot it right away yourself, like I said, don't try walking into it to fix the situation. I ended up helping my situation, helping the person in it. I don't want to say anymore because I don't want to get them into any position of trouble or being targeted themselves. But handlers definitely, have a mission, and they're there to achieve it. And it's sad but true, but it's like a huge, huge psychological game with them. And that's why you never really know who they are. You only know who they allow you to see. And who they allow you to see is going to be a little projection of yourself. and then this other side to them that makes you question everything about yourself, to where you're not even speaking for yourself or thinking for yourself anymore. And it didn't get that bad with me. You know, like I said, I fixed the situation and I helped. I really did. That's because I'm a master myself at spiritualism, reading a person psychically. I could see it right away, you know what I mean? But for most people, they can't, and sadly, you know, they'll walk right into things and they won't be able to fix it, you know, and you'll just get lost in the situation more and more and further from yourself, not thinking like yourself at all. And a lot of people just sadly, you know, don't come back from that. It's not irreversible. With lots of treatment and psychotherapy it is, but you know, it is the gravest form of psychological damage that a person can go through. So be careful, and love and light.